I feel like I like this one already. In the story of Job, are you still there? In the story of Job, Job didn't know he was going to make it through what he made it through. This is what made him appropriately weak. And this is where he grew and had to be strengthened. This is where he needed God. But God, from God's perspective, whenever the devil was like, hey, can I come and tempt Job? It's like God never said you can come and tempt him beyond what he's able to bear. Meaning like he was never going to lose. Like I don't believe that God will allow you to be tempted. That God will allow the devil to come in and whisper things to you. Right? And make you feel like, oh, I'm not hearing God's voice. And so like, oh no, I need to like fast. I need to pray. I need to do all these things. Yeah, you're trying to add. You're trying to add. It's okay that you're trying to add. You're going to wrestle with that for a while. But this is where in the places that you don't hear God's voice, you find that you make it through anyway. That increases your knowledge of like, he sent me through that with the intention of getting through that. Like his word was spoken over me. There was a grace in my life. And it did not return void. Not because I looked to myself to keep going. Not because I somehow found a way to overcome the enemy's whispering thoughts and get into a place in my own strength to hear from God. No. Because God sent the devil to whisper those things. Right? These doors that I would open up. Right? Not knowing any better. Just out of ignorance. Just being exploited in your weakness. Right? There are so many times in my life I should have been picked off. And I'm looking back on it now, and I had a conversation with a friend yesterday and having this new perspective that I think was coming in, which was like, because I was so blind and I couldn't see the signs of the time that God was giving me, that was saying, hey, this is not a good place for you. This is kind of a red flag situation. But I don't look back and have regret. Because I believe he's giving me something more, which is, it's evidence of my faithfulness in your life because you could not see the way, but you made it through. Even with, especially with the enemy that I've allowed to come and torment you for a time. But I allowed him to come and torment you, not beyond what you're capable to bear. Meaning you were never going to lose. And I think that the people that we are becoming in God, being established in God, is one who's look back confidently at our lives and say, I could have never lost. He did not say, you're going to begin here, and if you do this, you won't lose. He said, you're going to begin here, and you're going to end up here because of the word that I've spoken over you. Because my word will not return void. Because I am faithful to watch it and make sure it accomplishes what I have sent it out to do. And I will allow the enemy to come in and whisper doubt and fear. But you will become strengthened as you walk through the valley and come to fear no evil. See, we want to find these ways in the moment to try to add something to our situation. Because the faith hasn't been produced yet. Because it's in the process of being increased. It's in the process of being produced. It's like Job didn't know until he was on the other side. Right? He wasn't meant to know until he was on the other side. But it wasn't Job who got himself through that. There was no way that he was going to lose. Because God said, if I'm going to have you begin a thing, if I'm going to begin a thing with you, I am faithful to complete that thing. I don't care what devil litter is out there. I don't care what spirit of lust, spirit of whatever. It doesn't matter. These things will be beneath your feet one day as your faith is increased so much where you see, he brought me to a place and said, yes, the devil, you can go and torment him here and do this here, right? You can go and speak lies to her there. right? Get her to basically chase her passions or whatever, right? And experience all of the consequences of sin or whatever we want to do. But I have the final say on this person. I will not let that not become good, because I am good. So before I even said that you can come and torment this person, I said, I'm going to do something with this torment. Before I said that you can go and mess with this person, I always had a plan for it. I don't think that he would allow the devil to come and mess with you and mess with me if there wasn't a already thought out intention of turning it into something good. And since he is outside of time and he is outside of the processes that he brings us through, he's like, I spoke a word at the beginning, and I will be the faithful one to make sure my word comes to pass. You will not start a thing and not finish a thing. You will not start a thing and lose out because of something you couldn't see or something that you couldn't understand or something you couldn't do. But this is where the enemy will come in, and I will use him to scrape off the pieces of you that are not you. And I will use him to draw up your weakness and what you believe about your weakness. I will use him to bring up the unbelief, the shame that you have carried. All for your good. All for the purpose of making this thing that seems negative into a positive. It's like he never allows a negative to stay negative. But this is where I think there's just all of this stuff in the air about what we can do right now. How can I hear from God better? How can I make sure I close these doors where the enemy can't torment me and all this? Just go for it. Go for it. But greater is he or she that comes to know that it was the faithfulness of the Lord that got you through. Because if you believe, if you have some kind of reservation that it was you who got yourself through that, that's going to have to be broken down at some point. And I hope that it does. Because we are not required like that. It is his faithfulness. It is the goodness of the Lord that will get you through everything. And the testimony will be, I was stretched beyond what I was able to bear. And he did not waste anything. And there were so many red flags and these things that at the time it was like God was like telling me I wasn't supposed to be there. But yet I still arrived at the destination on time. May you receive that understanding from him. That you arrived at the destination on time despite all of the delays. Despite all of the things you had to go through. The landmines that you couldn't help but hit because you were a blind person. Walking in the dark, being exploited in their weakness, being exploited in the darkness of what they didn't know about themselves yet. Right? This is where the spiritual warfare actually has influence on our lives. Because there's like this door into doubt and fear that says you can lose. But that's okay that that's open. But I think that after the process is done, you will see I could not lose. And it's not because I was able to shut that door to the enemy or detect that there was even a door that the enemy was coming in, but because I allowed him in, because he was able to get in, because he had access to my mind, because he had access to me, I needed to know that there was going to be something greater than me that was going to get me through that. And so it's actually good that the enemy comes in. It's good that spiritual warfare comes in. It's good for you to experience that. But looking back, you will see, like I will see, I walked through the valley of the shadow of death, and now I fear no evil, because I found that he was with me. He was the faithful one that was with me, so I didn't even need to hear from him. And the enemy could come in and say, he has forsaken you because you're not measuring up. It didn't matter. He allows the enemy to come in, but it's never for you to lose. It's to see how you could never lose. You're set up to win from the beginning.